everyone, it's Kathleen from the Children's Library, coming to you from my home. I thought we could read a book together today, and this is a special book. Many of you probably know The Tale of Peter Rabbit by Beatrix Potter. I just love this book, and I loved it when I was a child. It's been around for a long time. The author, Beatrix Potter, she loved to draw pictures and study nature and plants and animals. And one day, she was writing a letter to a sick little boy, and she drew a picture of Peter Rabbit in her letter to him. And from there, that's where the books took off from. The boy loved the story, and he asked for more, and she kept drawing and writing stories. So here we go. Let's read our first story together. The Tale of Peter Rabbit. Here we go. This is a pop-up book, so it has lots of fun features. Don't know if you can see that. There's a little picture. Oh, look at that. It's like a little 3D picture. Once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits, and their names were Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother in a sandbank underneath the root of a very large fir tree. "Now, my dear," said old Mrs. Rabbit one morning, "you may go into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. Your father had an accident there and was put in a pie by Mrs. McGregor. Now run along and don't get into any mischief. I'm going out." Let's see what this does. Oh, she's fixing his button. And then there's a little something here. Then old Mrs. Rabbit took a basket and her umbrella and went through the woods to the baker's. She bought a loaf of brown bread and 5 currant buns. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, who were good little bunnies, went down to the lane to gather blackberries. See? But Peter, who was very naughty, ran straight away to Mr. McGregor's garden. Oh, he's sneaking under the fence. He squeezed under the gate. First, he ate some lettuces, and then he ate some French beans, and then he ate some radishes. And then, feeling rather sick, he went to look for some parsley. But around the end of the cucumber frame, who should he meet but Mr. McGregor? Oh, Mr. McGregor was on his hands and knees, planting out young cabbages, but he jumped up and ran after Peter, waving a rake and calling out, "Stop thief! Stop thief!"
You forgot one thing.
Did I forget?
Oh, never mind.
I've got my son Noah with me, helping me. He's going to help do the
Pop-ups.
Okay. Wow. Peter was most dreadfully frightened. He rushed all over the garden, for he had forgotten the way to get back to the gate. He lost one of his shoes among the cabbages and the other shoe amongst the potatoes. He's stuck in a net. After losing his shoes, he ran on 4 legs and went faster, so that I think he might have gotten away altogether if he had not unfortunately run into a gooseberry net and got caught by the large buttons on his jacket. It was a blue jacket with brass buttons and quite new. Peter gave himself up for lost and shed big tears. But his sobs were overheard by some friendly sparrows who flew to him in great excitement and implored him to exert himself. One of ours fell off. There we go. And a little bird. Choo, 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 choo.
And we need to put it, you see, right this line right here.
Okay, that's good. Let's sit down. Thank you. Mr. McGregor came up with a sieve, this thing right here, which he intended to pop on the top of Peter, but Peter wiggled out just in time, leaving his jacket behind him. Let's see what this pop-up does. Oh, Whee! Oh, he jumps out. Look at that. Boing. Oh, that is fun. Oh, and he rushed into the tool shed and jumped in a can. It would have been a beautiful thing to hide in if it had not so much water in it. Mr. McGregor was quite sure that Peter was somewhere in the tool shed. Perhaps hidden underneath a flower pot. He began to turn them over carefully, looking under each. Presently, Peter sneezed. Achoo! Mr. McGregor was after him in no time. Let's see what this does. Oh, he's looking under each flower pot. Oh, do you see Peter popping his head up out of the water can? All right, here's our next page. Kind of hard to get it all fit. Oh, he tried to put his foot upon Peter, who jumped down out of the window, upsetting 3 plants. The window was too small for Mr. McGregor, and he was tired of running after Peter. He went back to his work. Peter sat down to rest. He was out of breath and trembling with fright, and he had not the least idea which way to go. Also, he was very damp from sitting in that can. Let's see what this one does. Well, you're crossing the picture. You have to sit on the other side. Oh, look at that. There's Mr. McGregor's foot trying to stomp on Peter and then upsetting the geraniums. Crash! Crash! Oh, Peter Rabbit. After a time, he began to wander about, going lippity-lippity, not very fast, and looking all around. He found a door in the wall, but it was locked, and there was no room for a fat little rabbit to squeeze underneath.
He looks like he's he's trying to bury it or something, like maybe like.
An old mouse was running. Do you see the little mouse? An old mouse was running in and out over the stone doorstep, carrying peas and beans to her family in the wood. Peter asked her the way to the gate, but she had such a large pea in her mouth, she could not answer. She only shook her head at him, and Peter began to cry. Then he tried to find his way straight across the garden, but he became more and more puzzled. Presently he came to a pond where Mr. McGregor filled his watering cans. A white cat was staring at some goldfish. She sat very, very still, but now and then the tip of her tail twitched as if it were alive. Let's see if this twitches the tail. Oh, I saw 3 things. Did you see 3 things happen there?
Let me see again.
You can come on the other side if you want to pull.
Wait,
Let's see.
1 second.
Oh, you want to pull it? Careful. I see the fish, the koi fish. I see the tail moving, and I see little Peter popping out of behind the can.
Peekaboo! Peekaboo!
Okay.
Peekaboo!
Okay, thank you. Oh, let's see. Where were we? Can you sit down, please? A white cat was staring at the goldfish. Oh, Peter thought it best to go away without speaking to her. He had heard about cats from his cousin, little Benjamin Bunny. He went back towards the tool shed, but suddenly, quite close to him, he heard the noise of a hoe. Scratch, 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 scratch. Peter scuttered underneath the bushes. But presently, as nothing happened, oh, what do we got here? Please move your hand. He came out and climbed upon a wheelbarrow and peeped over. The first thing he saw was Mr. McGregor hoeing onions. Can you see him? Hoeing onions way back in the field. There's the forest, and there's the gate that Peter needs to get to. The first thing he saw was Mr. McGregor hoeing onions. His back was turned towards Peter, and beyond him was the gate. Can you let go, please? Okay, back away, please. Peter got down very quietly off the wheelbarrow and started running as fast as he could along a straight walk behind some black currant bushes.
and you see the he hanged him like a little tree. And he's gonna sneak under the gate.
Can I read that real quick? Okay, I need to read the other page. Thank you. Okay, move your head, please. You're in the way of the book. Okay, honey. Here, no, I need it closed. Mr. McGregor caught sight of him. No, please don't. But Peter did not care. He slipped under the gate and was safe at last in the wood outside the garden. Do you want to pull? You want to pull
And
show?
see.
Let's see. Okay, move your hand.
But if you want to do this,
Well, if we do this, there's the gate. Okay, pull it. He sneaks right under the gate. Okay, don't break it. Okay, very nice. Mr. McGregor hung up. Can you move your head, please? Hung up the little jacket and the shoes for a scarecrow to frighten away the blackbirds. Look at that, he hung them up. Oh, look at this one. He's back at home with his mother, isn't he? They're having a fire. Peter never stopped running or looked behind him till he got home to the big fir tree. There he is. He was so tired that he flopped down upon the nice soft sand of the floor of the rabbit hole and shut his eyes. His mother was busy cooking. She wondered what he had done with his clothes. It was the second little jacket and pair of shoes that Peter had lost in a fortnight. I'm sorry to say.
Fortnight?
That means maybe a week, fortnight, maybe fort means 4, I'm not sure. I'm sorry to say that Peter was not feeling very well during the evening. Please don't. You guys want to see that again? I love that picture. Look at that. Okay. Back to over here now. His mother put him to bed, and she made him some chamomile tea and gave him a dose, and she gave a dose of it to Peter. 1 tablespoon to be taken at bedtime. There he is in bed. That is the end of our story. So, I know that some of you are going to really love to see this book in person. This is from my home, but I'm happy to bring it into the library. And when we get back into our library, I'll show it to you in person at home. So, I want to do one little quick finger play, and then I'm going to let you go. This has been a long story. So, you might remember this from some of our other story times. It goes like this. Speaking of bunnies. Here is a bunny with ears so funny, and here is his hole in the ground. When a noise he hears, he perks up his ears and jumps in the hole in the ground. Here's one more. Let's see, it's about a snowman. There was a chubby snowman who had a carrot nose. Along came a bunny, and what do you suppose? That hungry little bunny was looking for his lunch. He saw the snowman's carrot nose. Nibble, nibble, crunch. Should we do it again? Do you want to do it with me, Noah? Come sit by me. See if Noah wants to do it with us. There was a chubby snowman who had a carrot nose. Along came a bunny, and what do you suppose? That hungry little bunny was looking for his lunch. He ate the snowman's carrot nose. Nibble, nibble, crunch. All right, so let's say goodbye. Put your hand down.
Bye.
It's so nice to be with you guys today. Please leave us comments on what you'd like to see us do next. Please let us know how you like the story time. Please let us know how you're doing. We miss you all so very much, and we'll be in touch soon.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.